What red flags to look for during your first date? The last one is probably my hottest take. Stick around. Hello YouTube, this is Wholesome Dating, a show dedicated to giving authentic advice to genuine people. I'm your host, Matty Tabs. Without further ado, let's just get right into it. Today we're talking about red flags on the first date. I think we've all had some pretty horrible first dates. But today we're going to look at things to specifically look out for. I don't think any of these are going to be out to left field. Pretty common, I think. But sometimes people forget to realize these things when it's happening. So today we're going to touch on 5 different red flags specifically to look out for on your first date. Let's get right into the first one, okay? Someone who's on their phone. They pull their phone out and they start scrolling through social media. That is a huge red flag. Massive bad sign. Depending on what they're doing with their phone, I would more than likely probably just end the date right then and there. In most circumstances, unless there's something specific about their phone they need to look out for. Maybe a single parent looking for, make sure their kid hasn't texted them. Maybe someone who takes care of the elderly, like an elderly grandparent or something, and they need to make sure that they're in constant communication, or at least constantly available in emergency situations. So those are kind of exceptions to the rule, but they should be upfront about that at the beginning of the date in order to avoid the uncomfortableness of having their phone out during the first date, because this is a red flag. Taking a picture of your food is not a huge red flag, but it is, in my opinion, distasteful. It's a first date. Try to be on your best behavior. The second red flag, in my opinion, is the lack of paying attention. If you're telling a story and they are looking around, not making eye contact, not engaging in the story, and you almost feel like you're talking to a wall, that's also a big issue. So I would highly consider ending the date as well. And you don't have to end it abruptly or ghost somebody. You can just say, you know what, I'm just not feeling the chemistry here, and I think we should part ways. I can either drop you off, depending on the situation, if you picked her up, or if he picked you up, you might have to take a cab home, because they are at no obligation to drive you back home if you decide to end the date early. Now, if they do, that's nice of them, but make sure you understand that they are not obligated to drive you home. So another good thing to spot is what kind of attention they're giving to the wait staff. So if you're on a date with a lady and she starts flirting with the waiter, that's a huge red flag. So where is the attention? Is the attention on you? Is it on their phone? Is it on the bar? Is it on other people? So I think the important thing is where the attention is directed towards. It should be towards yourself. If it's not, that's an issue. The next one would be following up with flirting with the staff. The opposite is being mean to staff. This is a massive red flag. Okay, guys, listen, if on their best behavior they are unnecessarily mean to staff, and what I mean by that is even if staff, deserve a bit of a scolding, or they mess up and spill something on you, or even if a bit of a scolding is warranted on a first date, they should be at their best behavior and just let the majority of mistakes, whether they're big or small, let them go. Even if somebody happens to spill wine on you, I think, you say, oh, this sucks, it's okay, maybe deal with like a cleaning bill after the fact, but overall, being mean to staff is a huge red flag. And if you're okay with somebody being mean to staff, then you probably deserve each other, and maybe stop going out. Just stay in. The two of you can marry each other and just be miserable together. and leave us alone. Polite society. The fourth one, I think this one is overlooked quite often, is having more than 2 or 3 drinks. And the reason for this is if you can't control yourself and can't control your drinking on a first date to the point where you get even buzzed or drunk, that probably says more about your alcoholism than anything else. Now, if you're sitting there going, I can have 4 or 5 drinks and not be buzzed, that's a problem. I think you should maybe talk to a therapist, because most people that have 4 to 5 drinks within a couple hours should be pretty buzzed, and not even be able to drive anymore. So 2 to 3 drink limit, I think, for a first date, because usually first dates are about 3 to 4 hours if you consider like a dinner and a movie type of thing. Movies usually about an hour and a half to up to, most movies end by 2.5 hours long, and then dinner after that for another hour and a half. So most dates are between 3 and 4 hours long, and if you can't go more than 4 hours without having 3 drinks, then I think you have a problem. So counseling would be a good idea for that. But that's a red flag that a lot of people kind of overlook, because especially if they're having fun and they're just letting the alcohol flow and things like that, you don't see it as easily. I think it's very, very important. Now, the last red flag that I think is a massive one is sex on the first date. This is my hot take. I don't think sex should ever be on the table on the first date. If you're willing to go all the way on the first date, that says something poorly about you. And I don't just mean this for the women. Us guys too need to start taking more accountability and responsibility for our promiscuity and tendencies to be promiscuous. So it's important that you ladies know that if a man is willing to sleep with you on the first date, he's not the kind of man that you should be wanting to have a second date with. If he can't control himself to not be angry after not being able to sleep with you on the first night, then that's a problem. He's probably emotionally weak, and emotionally weak men are dangerous men. So I highly discourage sex on the first date for both men and women. And I think that's a standard that we need to aspire to. One night stands are bad for society. This whole sexual revolution has not been positive when it comes to relationships. There are other positives about it, but when it comes to long-lasting, healthy relationships, it's not been a positive aspect to it. So let's try and build up some sexual decency, or get back some sexual decency, and wait at least till 10 dates. I don't think that's asking too much. Heck, even 5 dates. But like on the first date is a little much. You can control yourselves for a little bit longer, okay? We're not animals. We can definitely control our emotions and our urges. So, especially for you ladies, because more men tend to be willing to eat, because not only that doesn't make them bad people, but it shows that they aren't in control of themselves to a full extent. So I think it's important especially for you ladies, to set a minimum amount of dates that you won't sleep with a guy before you reach. And that does a couple of things for you very positively. One, it makes sure the guy is there for the right reasons. And 2, it weeds out the bad guys that aren't willing to wait and aren't willing to work on the relationship, on the dating, because of some temporary imagined pleasure that he has no right to be demanding. So I think taking sex off the table for the first at least minimum 5 dates is key to getting a better quality partner. And that's for both sexes. Well, that's it for this episode, guys. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button, and leave your comments below. Until the next time, cheers.